Hello and welcome back to another Total War Warhammer replay. Today it's going to be Bretonnia versus the Dark Elves. I'm playing as Bretonnia, the French gay motherfucking pedo mustache looking guys in Warhammer. And in the front line here, I've gone with foot squires. Now the reason I've gone with these guys is because they have decent AP, they're anti-infantry, they're a damage dealer, and basically they'll beat pretty much most units in the Dark Elf front lines. If he wants to beat me, he has to bring like something like Hagen F Executioners. That'll probably be the only way he can beat me, but these guys have good armor, good leadership, and they'll hold the front line pretty steadily against most of what he's going to bring. I also have some peasant mob here, basically to, of course, like take the oncoming charge, and then I can obviously send the foot squires to get the counter charge in, so that's the reason I have one foot squires here. In the back here, I had some men-at-arms, 2 men-at-arms actually. I took these guys because I thought, well, he's probably going to spam some cold one knights and stuff like that, so he's probably going to try and get rid of some anti-large on my side. So I wanted some dedicated anti-large infantry units, so of course he couldn't counter them that easily, or he'd have to have infantry at the very least to get these guys decently down. As for my lord, I had the Fey Enchantress. Of course, she has some really nice buffs. I've given her Shield of Thorns. I've got Regrowth. She's got Arcane Conduit, of course. Favourite of the Fey, melee attack augment, so that's pretty good. You can buff up some troops. And also the Chalice of Potions? Yeah, Chalice of Potions. Yeah, so this is basically like, not like a bit similar to a Comet of Cassandora, but I think it's a little bit less powerful, but really, really good. She also has Mist of the Lady, so that's obviously only when she's in combat. It did get nerfed a while ago, but still really, really good melee attack, -5 to anyone when she's in combat. And yeah, she's got, and of course she's got Life Bloom and some other stuff, so really, really good stuff. On the sides here as well, I had some peasant bowmen with the proxy ones, pox arrows, yeah. So poison ones, basically going to be slowing down any cav charges or anything like that's coming through. And in the back here, I've gone for a field trebuchet. I assume that's how you say it. Trebuchet, yeah, field trebuchet. Basically, I wanted something to pressure him. I know he could have gone Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, but luckily he didn't. So I was feeling pretty confident about bringing that pick. And on the top here, I have 2 Paladins. I went for Paladins because I thought, okay, I'm going to definitely make sure I deny Malekith, because of course Malekith can come on his dragon. That's a very risky pick by him, but he could have done it. He could have done it, and I didn't want to risk that, so I went for 2 Paladins here. So dedicated anti-large, they can go and basically cycle charge cavalry or go after lords and stuff like that. So really, really good. And then lastly, on the side here, I have the Knights of the Lionhearted, dedicated anti-large units that have magical attacks. Really, really nice units. Got some real nice stat, nice charge bonus, nice anti-large bonus. Basically dedicated to killing anything big and scary. Over here, then we had some mounted yeomen archers and the Regiment of Renown version of them that does poison damage. That were chasing some Dark Riders over there. But other than that, that is my entire force. So for my opponent, he has gone, if I can find it, where is it? Yes. So he went for a Supreme Sorceress of Death. He has with her, he had Spirit Leech, and he has Spirit Leech. He had Fate of Buna, so some nice damage to some of my units. He has the Amulet, damage resistance, and he also went for the Black Horror, so of course a bit of a bit of AoE damage coming from there, but some nice stuff. So basically, but his front line was mainly made up of Dread Spears, and this is where it really fucked him over, because he, going against Bretonnia, they're going to bring a lot of cavalry, but haha, I fucking didn't. All the mind games. But yeah, he took loads of Dread Spears, so he was obviously expecting oncoming cavalry charges, expecting me to consistently just, cycle charge him and stuff like that. So yeah, Dread Spears, I mean, they're going to lose the foot squires, I'll tell you that right now. But yeah, they'll basically be, the really good, big, large unit. They can try and cover a lot of ground. He also had over here 2 of the Cold One Chariots. So these guys are armor piercing. They can shoot from a distance. Pretty nice. They'll basically destroy any foot squires they come into contact with. So they're just going to be charging through my back line, trying to get as much value as they can. Not a bad pick at all. In the back here, he had Cold One Knights. So, dedicated anti-large. That's pretty understandable. I mean, you're going to want to take a lot of anti-large against Bretonnia because their cavalry is their strongest thing. So taking these guys is understandable. In the forest here, we had the Witch Elves, of course, which can cause rampage if you start to engage with them. So you've got to be careful about that. Obviously trying to tie down maybe some of my more valuable cavalry units. I think that was that was basically his plan here. He was going to send in, well, you can see he's got 2 more, one more Cold One Knights here. That was going to be a... Oh, has he got 2 more? No, so yeah, he had 1 more Cold War Knights here. Obviously pairing them with the Witch Elves really nicely so they can rampage and then these guys can just get all the damage. 1 more Dread Spear back here. He also has the Celeste Harvesters. So these guys, poison, magic damage. They're actually going to be really good well. So they got Word of Pain. And they've got Soul Stealer, so yeah, some nice damage coming around from there. Didn't put them in Vanguard deployment though, which would have expected him to do, but maybe not. Over here, he's got some Dark Riders, just, you know, normal cavalry, going to be getting the back line harassing. And then lastly, over here, he had another pair of Dark Riders. So yeah, that was it for my opponent's force. But other than that, let's get right into it. So, first thing he does, he actually casts on me a Spirit Leech here, but I basically countered that with a regrowth because I wanted these units to be healed up fully. But this was a big problem. I didn't see his Dark Riders on this side of the field. I was too preoccupied with the front line with his Cold One Chariots. So his Dark Riders here get a really nice charge into the back of my Bowmen here, and they're going to get absolutely wrecked. But Trebuchet's still firing, doing some nice damage to the Dread Spears. A lot of micromanagement was happening here, I'll tell you that right fucking now. His Cold One Chariots are coming through the front line. He's taking out my Bowmen. He's flanking around the right side here, so pretty scary stuff. I mean, of course, most of his forces in the forest here. But the front line engagement is about to happen here. I sent the Foot Squires in. He was getting some nice damage here, but Foot Squires are engaging. They'll win these matchups against Dread Spears any day. But he's got all his cavalry and all his main unit force coming around this side of the field here. So I set up a defense. I had my mounted yeomen here, my archers here, 2 men-at-arms here ready to fight. And I was getting ready. Luckily over here, I was getting a good engagement. I was able to get back on his Dark Riders here with my Knights of the Lionhearted, and they'll just win that engagement, as you see, already routing off. So that was really good for me. My Paladins, they were sort of flying around. I believe I sent them over here to watch out this flank here, because I could see that his Cold One Knights were coming around. Trebuchets are still firing though, doing some nice damage. Fey Enchantress just in the middle here, just chilling at the moment, not really having to worry about it, just seeing what's happening, seeing where healing is needed. But as you can see here, in the front line, with winning this engagement here, we've won over here, and we've won over here. So this was going really good for me. The front line engagement was winning or going in my favour. Over here, we've got a little bit of a blob here. We have the cavalry, well, not the cavalry, the chariots here, engaging with some men-at-arms. Pretty bad situation for them. Really badly caught out. And over here, I do catch his Cold War Knights with 2 of my Paladins. They won't win that matchup any day. They'll get absolutely molested by that. So I had to make sure that I stayed on them and got them really quickly. Chariots, though, started to rout. Got my Regiment of Renown here, still firing with those poison attacks, slowing them down. But over here, he does cast a Deadly Onslaught. So basically, he does lower my melee attack, but does some also other buffs as well. So yeah, pretty scary stuff over here that's happening right now. But yeah, my Paladins, they'll tank most of this. I then send in my Knights of the Lionhearted, so this is a big blob, but his Witch Elves are coming in. He's got some Dread Spears coming in. This was getting pretty scary here, so what I decided to do is I decided to bring in my Fey Enchantress. I decided to pull these men-at-arms back and bring them over here. I've also got some Foot Squires coming in the back here. As you can see, the Foot Squires over here, pretty much winning. This was a pretty bad engagement for him, though. He had two of his Cold One Knights sort of tied up here with the Foot Squires, so that was going pretty badly for him. Over here, we'd secured my back line over here, so I've got my archers back online, peasant mobs coming back, but yeah, it was going pretty good. So I was getting a lot of... I don't know what he tried to cast here. Maybe that was a mistake. But is this another Soul Stealer? Oh no, he's got Word of Pain here. Word of Pain going off. So yeah, this is when I think it was, what's that called? What's that fucking ability called? Chalice of the Potions, or, yeah, that's it. I hope that's fucking it, Jesus Christ. But yeah, that's what came down just then. Did a nice amount of damage to all this big blob here. But yeah, I can just spam regrowths in here. I was keeping the Fey Enchantress near, brought in my men-at-arms. And yeah, it was going pretty nicely. As you can see, balance of power quite in my favour a little bit now. But the Foot Squires here still engaging on these guys and bringing the peasant mob to sort of make up it. He's still got his Supreme Sorceress though. Bloodlights over here have just, Cold War Knights have just taken out the field. Trebuchet, and I was retreating my archers back here to get some more, get back into like a bit of a back line here to start shooting back at them. But yeah, the main engagement is happening right over here. As I say, my Knights of the Lionhearted fighting here. I've got my men-at-arms and my 2 Paladins just tearing stuff up. It was going really nice for me. I was feeling very confident at this part. I knew that I didn't have much. And this is when I saw that the Supreme Sorcerer was caught out. So I thought, right, I'm going to shove this fucking unicorn's horn right up this fucking Cold One's arse. So as you can see, I charge in here. I can't remember if I got the charge. Oh, yep, there we go. Oh, yes, see all that blood splurt out of him from that unicorn. Okay, nice. So he's there. You have a bit of Fey Enchantress, woman-on-woman action here. But he tries to get out. and he starts to bring his Celestial Harvesters back in, but I've got the Paladin there covering me. But I didn't want to engage. I knew that obviously the Fey Enchantress is not exactly very tanky. She only has 15 armor, so, you know, pretty much she gets tied up by a lot of these stuff like Dread Spears and the Celestial Harvesters. It could go right back into my opponent's Feiner, and Fear and Terror could easily kick in here and be a real problem. So I wanted to keep her alive. I didn't overstay my welcome. I retreated back and respected the Dread Spears and everything like that. But I do get caught out a little bit here, but I did sort of manage to just weave my way out, which was pretty lucky of mine. As I say, Blood Knight's coming back, but the Paladin, he's doing work for the Fey Enchantress, coming in here, taking on all these Velociraptor-looking ass Cold One Knights. But yeah, he takes a lot of he takes damage, but you know he'll win this engagement in the end because they're quite badly damaged. But he was doing nice. Fey Enchantress coming back out, managed to weave around the Dread Spears, you know, sort of dodge and weave around there. Got my Foot Squires coming back, got my Peasant Mobs coming back in. I've got a few of my archers still up as well. But yeah, it was going really, really nicely in my favour here. I mean, the only things he really had left were the Witch Elves, which were dying, these couple of Dread Spears here and there, his Cold One Chariots still getting shot at, here's some Dread Spears over here, Cold One Knights chasing, you know, the Mounted Yeomen, which of course is never a good chance, because these guys would just outrun them for days and just fucking juke and juke. As I say, you just leave these guys on fucking autopilot, until that happens, of course, but yeah, don't leave your stuff on autopilot. Over here, I've got the Fey Enchantress still chasing up the Supreme Sorcerer, but as I do believe she is faster. Yep, she's faster. She's coming right in with that big ass horse and going right in, you know, splashing some yellow cum magic, whatever it is. And the Supreme Sorcerer is about to rout off. Fey Enchantress shows that she's no fucking pushover, which is nice. Comes back in, charges back into these Cold One chariots. But after that, I think our army losses start to kick in. I do believe, I mean, you've still got some Witch Elves here, still got some Dread Spears, but as we carry on, everything pretty much just happens to go off. So everything starts to have Fear and Terror and just goes off pretty much. Well, not Fear and Terror, but they just start to rout off because, of course, Supreme Sorcerer's gone. So, yeah, that was pretty unlucky for that guy. There we go. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Very well played to my opponent. Really a fun game. Don't play Bretonnia that much because, you know, they're French. I'm British, so, you know, oh well, that's probably not a good thing to say, but oh well. But no, I don't play Bretonnia that much. I'd like to play them more, though, because they're quite a cool faction. They're quite unique. They don't, you know, they're, as I say, very cav-focused, so when you go something like infantry-focused, your opponents don't usually expect it, so it's quite a bit of fun. But thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.